Okay, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone joining us from all over the world. My name is Stacey McCardle. I'm the global marketing manager here at NCC Education, and want to introduce you to our university webinar today. And first up, I'm going to hand over to our head of partnerships and products, Rebecca Bewley, who will introduce NCC and go over our diplomas in business.
Thank you, Stacey. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I know there are a lot of people joining from various different parts of the world. So if you want to introduce yourself in the chat function, let us know where you are joining us from, if you're a centre, if you're a student, where in the world you are. And then also, if you do have any questions throughout, please feel free to put those in the chat box as well. And we'll make sure to answer and leave some time at the end to answer those. So, as Stacey mentioned, I'm going to give a brief introduction to NCC Education, and then we'll move on to look at our business diplomas before I hand over to our very special guest, Tess Kim. So NCC we've been delivering and developing internationally recognised higher education qualifications well over 30 years now, and with our origins going back even further into the 1960s. Today we do have accredited partner centre network of over 240 educational centres, colleges, private schools, and we're now present in over 60 countries as of 2026. Within that global network of schools, we provide affordable routes to obtain university degrees, access to traditional British education, but also internationally recognised education. And we offer that through a combination of traditional and distance learning. We're also, very importantly, recognised by the Office of Qualifications and Examinations Regulation, or Ofqual, as you may hear, here in the UK, to ensure integrity and quality at all levels of our qualifications. So what do we offer? To students, it's high quality university level study, which you can choose to study wherever you are in the world. As I said, we are in over 60 different countries now, so there's typically an accredited partner centre wherever you are in the world. You can follow a clear step-by-step pathway to university and gain qualifications that are trusted and recognised by both institutions and industry globally as well. Now, what I thought we'd focus on today, especially given that we're going to hear from Tess about Westcliff University a little bit later, is our business degree pathway. So NCC Education, I know, talked about various different qualifications, but we do offer a full degree pathway for business qualifications, right from level 2 through to postgraduate level. And that means that you can start at an award level at level 2, progress through to level 3, and then get on to the full degree pathway, where our level 4 diploma in business is equivalent to year 1 of a UK degree, and level 5 is equivalent to year 2 of a UK degree. Across the world, we do have universities that recognise both those levels, level 4 and level 5, and it means that students can really progress onto various different options, whether online with one of our online partners like Western International College, or whether that is through an on-campus progression or articulation agreement in England, Scotland, Wales, Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, and of course the USA. So that's who we are joined by today, Westcliff University, based in California. And obviously, in terms of the education system, we're looking here at sort of level 4 and level 5 being equivalent to that year 1 and the year 2 of the UK degree. So we're going to hand over to Tess so we can find out a little bit more about how that works and applying to a university in the US, especially after you've completed your NCC Education Diploma. Tess, have you got a presentation that you'd like to share? I'll stop sharing myself.
Yes, that sounds good. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for that introduction. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to join you all today. Well, I'm very happy to be here on this call for the webinar in collaboration between Westcliff University and NCC Education. My name is Tess Kim. I am the enrollment manager at the Department of Global Engagement here at Westcliff University. And as for today's topics, over the half hour, we'll be able to provide a general overview and introduction of Westcliff and their partnership, followed by a brief Q&A session. So without further ado, I will go ahead and share my screen here. Right. Is everyone able to see this okay?
Yep, I can see that.
All right, great. Thank you so much. So within Westcliff University, our department manages university partnerships around the world, and this is spearheaded by our Vice President and Dean of Global Engagement, Dr. Julie Chancho. And as I introduced earlier, my name is Tess, the enrollment manager for our department. To give you a better idea visually of where we're located geographically, so we were founded in 1993, and our main campus is based out of Irvine, California. You'll see we have a few different locations within the state, and we have campuses in Dallas, Orlando, Miami, New Jersey, and recently launched an international campus in Canada, along with our two in Nepal. And in terms of Irvine itself, it is the city of innovation. It's a tech hub of Orange County. It's filled with exciting career opportunities, kind of get the best of both worlds with access to the beaches and the mountains, while also being extremely diverse and a safe environment. And you'll also see previously that we are accredited by WASC and ACBSP. We do have further campus videos and images if you would like to take some time on your own later on to visit our website and view those. And yeah, our different campuses are just going to have different environments depending on what you're looking for, and they're all equally have their own strengths. Just some fast facts about us. So we have over 9,000 enrolled as of last year, and we're continuing to grow as we head into 2026. As I mentioned, we're extremely diverse, so we have over 100 nationalities represented. We have a tight-knit student to faculty ratio. You can see 10 to 1, whereas the national average is 18 to 1. So students are able to get that more catered attention with the closer ratio to the student faculty. We have a high graduation rate of 92%, whereas 60% is a national average. And something that we pride ourselves on especially is the focus on our practical curriculum here at Westcliff. And that is especially reflected by the facts that there is an 88% job placement upon graduation. Now, we do have listed here our extensive list of the programs within our bachelor's, master's, and doctorates. But of course, for the purpose of today's webinar, I'd like to highlight our articulation agreement that we have specifically with NCC Education. And so, as was touched upon briefly earlier, we do have various pathways depending on which program you are interested in. And so we have the level 4 diploma with the top up into the BBA, the level 5 for BBA, and then the combined level 4 and 5. And then we also additionally have the level 7, in which you would receive a degree, the MBA, with a concentration in strategic and innovative leadership. And in this chart, we have outlined the specific transfer credit arrangement. And so in this first column here, you will see the max transfer credits that are accepted by Westcliff and how that feeds into our degree programs. On the right hand here, you will see the total credits, remaining credits that you will take at Westcliff to receive the correlated degree. And it's important, you want to keep in mind the number of credits that you will take in Westcliff to not only know how many courses that you will take during your time here, but also to calculate your tuition, which we'll be able to highlight in a different slide. So to break this down, if you are interested in pursuing your studies on ground, you can see our standard fees here. Whereas for our bachelor's, it is $767 USD per credit. and master's 819 per credit. And again, this is to highlight that because this is a credit rate, you would multiply it with however the number of credits that you would take at our university. But thanks to our partnership with NCC Education, we have a 20% partnership scholarship applied. And so you can see the rates and scholarship applied here for the bachelor's. We can use the BBA as an example. Earlier, we had mentioned that with the level 4 and 5 diploma top-up, you would be taking 75 credits with us here at Westcliff. So multiplying the 614 credit rate by the number of credits that you would need to complete, you can see the total of the program that you would take at Westcliff here with us notated here. And the same goes for our master's. With the scholarship, it'll be 655 USD a credit. And with the remaining 21 credits to take, that'll be around a little over 13,000 USD for the program at Westcliff. And if you are, again, interested in coming as an F1 student on ground, a requirement to receive the I-20 would be to provide an acceptable proof of funds. And that will have to include not only your tuition, but also the costs listed here. So typically for housing, living expenses, transportation, on your proof of funds, we would have to see a minimum of 20,000 US dollars, and then the books cost depending on your program level. Now, another highly attractive modality that we did want to highlight and that we do offer at Westcliff University is our online cohort program, which is a bit different than the standard online modalities you might see at different institutions. And this is unique for a few different reasons. We have our online cohort programs take place at your local time zone. And so it's convenient and accessible for you. And they typically take place at night. So this allows for our students who have their daily lives to attend to during the day, whether that's looking after your family or your job, etc. It allows you to be able to cater to that while taking your education at a distance online at night. So there's a lot of flexibility to work with there. And not only that, our regular online fees are always going to be more affordable than in person. But with the online cohort program, through our partnership, we also do allow for a 50% scholarship to be awarded. And so you can see just exactly at every level how that is executed. And we'd be happy to send these slides to you, of course, after this webinar so that you do have access to this information for your perusal in detail later on. Now, under typical circumstances, F1 students are not permitted to work, but at Westcliff University, we do have the CPT OPT opportunity here for these off-campus internship opportunities, and students are able to complete this as a way to gain valuable professional experience and to supplement income as well. Just to give a general breakdown, the key distinction between the CPT and the OPT work opportunity is that CPT will simply take place during your program, and OPT is upon graduation. So full-time CPT is limited to 1 year if you plan to do both CPT and OPT upon graduation. There's no limit for how many hours you can work with part-time. And for master's students, CPT, you can begin it immediately as soon as you land on ground, but for bachelor's, 1 academic year must be completed first. And students participating in the CPT during the program will also need to register for an additional credit course each semester. Now with the OPT, this occurs again after graduation, and all students are eligible for 1 year's work upon graduation. However, if you are in specifically a STEM concentration or STEM program, you are able to apply and extend your OPT for 2 additional years, which is 3 years in total. So you can imagine when I was listing when I was going through the slides briefly earlier with all of our programs, there was a green S that denotes the STEM concentration or STEM program. You can imagine this is a very appealing opportunity and option for our students to be able to stay up to 3 years upon graduation with the OPT opportunity. Now, our university, we operate on an open enrollment academic calendar, and this means that we have 6 start dates per year, 1 start date every 2 months. And so it's broken down by our fall, spring, and summer semester. And this is extremely helpful in the case of anytime that you do require flexibility with your visa timeline or any family emergencies, etc. It's typically not the end of the world if you're not able to start at your intended start date, because we quickly have another intake coming around shortly every 2 months. And for F1 students who are living in another country, it's important to take note of the application deadline. It's typically 3 months in advance. And if you do have to defer for any reason to the next intake, that deferral deadline is also listed here. Now, in terms of our admissions requirements to the Westcliff side of the program, it's quite straightforward. Once you submit your application, you will have access to an applicant's portal in which you will be able to upload all of the following documents. We do require your qualifying diploma and transcripts. For undergrad programs, we have a minimum GPA requirement of 2.0 on a 4.0 scale, and that increases to 2.5 for our grad students. We will require English proficiency depending on the country that you took your qualifying program in. So if it is a country in which English is an official language, and there's no need, but otherwise we will accept either English exam scores or medium instruction letters, etc. There's more information linked here on all accepted types of English, proof of English proficiencies. And lastly, if you are an incoming F1 student, as mentioned earlier, we will require that proof of funds just to see that you do have sufficient funds to support your F1 journey, and we will use that to issue the I-20. Now, it is important to note that at Westcliff University, we do not have separate housing or separate dorms, and this is almost intentional because Irvine is a great place to find housing suitable to each individual student's needs and interests. You can see the housing cost estimations for Irvine specifically, but this will vary. It's extremely dependent on the students' interests, students' expectations, the quality of the housing, how large it is, if you're living with any roommates, etc. The great thing about Westcliff, though, is that we do have a housing department specifically catered to helping our students find accommodations nearby. And so upon entry to the program, you'll be connected to a housing advisor, and they'll be able to provide you with further information and equip you with the right resources, whether it's looking for another roommate or finding the housing needs that are right to your interests. We also have a career services department, and this is especially helpful for your professional development in general, but especially for our international students who are interested in the CPT, OPT. They heavily rely on our one-on-one guidance with the career advisor to help them navigate tailoring their resume to an American specific audience, or preparing for interview questions, attending fairs and connecting to our alumni network, etc. And we also do connect our students to InterStride, which is an exclusive job board for F1 students, and it connects you to our partnership employers that are specifically open to hiring F1 international students. And as mentioned earlier, we do have a high rate of job placement after graduation. It is important to note that we do not guarantee job placements, because that is just completely out of our control, and is also typically you have to factor in a lot of external factors such as the job availability in the market, how competitive it is. It's heavily dependent on the readiness of the students and the preparedness with their and their dedication to tailoring their resume, their interview process, etc. So while we are not able to guarantee placement, again, we do have our strong career services department in place to help you get to where you need in terms of your career goals. Just some other student services that I would like to highlight that are made available, whether you are online or in person. We have academic advising and counseling. We can connect you to a student ambassador or peer. We have our writing center that's especially helpful for non-native speakers. They're able to provide support with any written assignments and papers, with the APA formatting, grammar, etc. You will, of course, have access to our library and digital resource center. If you do get the opportunity to join us in campus, we have a very robust student life and activities calendar. You can see here the sorts of clubs that we offer, along with the diverse celebrations that take place throughout the year. And this is very important to our Westcliff identity just because of how international our student body is, again, with over 100 nationalities represented. And so just to wrap up our presentation here, a few key points that I would like to highlight again as to why Westcliff might be a good fit for you. You'll see that our tuition fees are very competitive and reasonable, even more so with a 50% online cohort program scholarship. For F1 students, you will quickly find that Irvine is a very safe and diverse city to live in, and there's always something for everyone there. Our high quality curriculum is taught by experienced faculty who, on average, possess over 20 years of working experience in their fields, and course contents also heavily focuses on practical application of the content that you will be able to later apply in the workplace. And lastly, again, our programs are very accessible and convenient with the open enrollment and the 6 start dates per year. So with that, that concludes my presentation portion of the webinar today. Happy to open up the floor. I'm not sure if anyone had any questions that they would either like to ask live at this moment, or if at any point there are any questions that you would like to follow up with. We do have our email listed here. It is internationaldev@westcliff.edu, and we would be happy to hear from you and answer any questions that way as well.
Thank you so much, Tess. That was excellent. Thank you very much. I can see there is one chat from Windle, one question, sorry, asking about whether STEM is the same as the UK graduate visa after completing a university course, which allows students to work for 24 months. I think that's with reference to the OPT. It is a very similar setup. I think it's just that it only applies, as Tess mentioned, to those STEM courses. I think as well, Tess, just for some information, we've been looking at UK university progression, and so it's just looking at those differences with the US system. I think your presentation was really clear, so that was excellent. There's just some intricacies that we are working on, but yes, it is effectively a graduate visa that allows students to work after completion of the studies.
Yeah, I'm not familiar, of course, specifically with the UK graduate visa, but I would imagine, I'm not sure if there's special consideration for STEM students. But yes, as mentioned earlier, with the OPT, if you do focus on a STEM concentration or program, you are extended from that general 1 year to the 3 years upon graduation.
Do you know, Tess, does that apply for the BBA or the MBA at all?
If they choose a STEM concentration, then yes, I can quickly hop over to the slide. So if we use the BBA as an example, and again, happy to send out these slides afterwards, there are specific concentrations that are denoted with the green S here that would make them eligible for the 3-year extension, 3-year OPT extension.
Yeah, that's great. I think we'll be able to share, if you can share those slides with us after, for all attendees, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
No problem.
Can't see any other questions in the chat. I think obviously in terms of follow-up questions, we've got the email address there at the end of the presentation as well. And so if there are any questions about applications, is that also the best email to forward to?
Yes.
Becky, I don't know if you can see there is a question in the Q&A.
Oh, apologies. Sorry, I was looking in the wrong section. Let me have a look. So there's a question from John. How many hours can we work during study? And then a question about how much will be our salary. I'm not sure that we can answer the part about salary, but is there information about the number of hours allowed?
Yes, so during study, that will be the CPT, and it really depends on if you're interested in pursuing OPT after graduation as well, then you will be limited to 1 year of full-time work. So depending if you are on Westcliff for more than a year, let's say for example, if you're on Westcliff for 2 years, you could do 1 year full time and then drop down to part-time afterwards. If you work part-time during your program, that's a maximum of 20 hours a week. There is no duration like there is with the full-time. And so that's how many work hours are allowed during the program. And in regards to salary, this will be heavily dependent employer by employer. There isn't really a baseline that we advise our students here. We do have a career services department that we'd be happy to connect you to. Perhaps they would be able to give you a better estimated range. And again, that's a question that you can send over to our international dev. We'd be happy to connect you with the right person.
Brilliant. Thanks, Tess. I think we've got another question about whether NCC students would need to apply for this scholarship or whether it's applied automatically upon application.
Yes, so in terms of the F1 scholarship, the 20% partnership rate, that is automatically applied. There are no specific conditions. This is just something that we honor with our partnership with NCC. And there are also no conditions to maintain it as well, just as long as you remain in good academic standing, that scholarship will be applied to you during your duration here.
Excellent, thank you.
These are great questions.
So if a student would like to apply, do you provide the portal access to submit the documents, or does it have to be emailed?
Yes, so I did mention earlier that how it works is you will, excuse me, you will probably, I assume that you would work with NCC Education to receive the application link. And upon applying, then you would be automatically emailed an application portal, and that's where you will enter to submit all of your admissions documents. And so everything will operate out of that portal.
Okay, so there's a unique link that everyone would have access to.
Yes, correct. And that's something, once we do get to that stage, we also have a separate slideshow that has a step-by-step breakdown of how to navigate the application portion and the applicant portal. So once we do get to that stage, we'll be happy to provide that then as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. If a student has an NCC qualification besides the level 4 diploma in business, the level 5 diploma in business, or the level 7, for example, if they had a diploma in computing, are they still able to inquire about applying, or is it a kind of conversation that can be had, or is it just looking at the business diplomas?
Yeah, so we would be happy to explore other pathways. I think that's something that I would recommend the students coming to NCC Education with first. And then at the institutional level, between NCC and Westcliff, we will probably have to explore another articulation agreement to include further diploma programs, so we can take it from there. But yeah, for the student in particular, I would recommend consulting with the NCC Education first.
Okay, thank you, Tess. Okay, excellent. I can't see, apologies. Yes, so a copy of both presentations will be shared with all attendees after the webinar. And does Westcliff University facilitate campus interviews, job placement, or funding for research work for students through employer partnership or career fairs?
So in terms of the work opportunities, that is held exclusively between the hiring institution, hiring like employer and the student. So Westcliff is not directly involved in that process. But our career services do provide like mock interviews in terms of preparatory phases. And I'm not sure I understood the second part of the question, job placement or funding for research work for students through employer partnership or career fairs.
I think in terms of, I think the careers services that you've mentioned really would be the ideal kind of point or you know, the way that students would go forward to contact them and gain some kind of information about any of the careers opportunities and understand the interview process, especially within the US system. You know, they're making sure that it's tailored to US employers. I think
Yes, that is the role of the career services department, to be able to help our international students easily facilitate and navigate the process. And then it would be entirely up to the students to conduct themselves throughout the process with their department.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, I think career services are a really key and valuable part of the university at any institution. But I think by the sounds of it, the links that they have, you know, the specialist F1 job board, etc., they sound like really valuable parts of that service as well.
Definitely. And we have a very heavy international student population as well. And so our career services department are especially well versed in the needs of our students and happy to help with any queries and support needed.
Sherjon is asking if, for example, I have a 70% NCC diploma, how much will my contract be with a discount? I think what would be best there, perhaps, Sherjon, once we share the slides afterwards. Obviously, Tess did that breakdown in terms of remaining credits, depending on which diploma it is, whether you've done the level 4, the level 5, or a combination of the two. And then you can work out how much that would be based on the scholarship and based on how many credits are remaining. And then if there's any further questions around that, perhaps we could maybe do a follow-up. Okay. I hope that's okay, Sherjon. We will, as I said, we'll share the slides once we've got all the information on there with all attendees, hopefully in the next few days. We also do intend to put the recording on our YouTube channel to upload that so it can be shared with everyone and be referred back to as well. Hope that's okay with you, Tess. But then if there are any further questions, obviously you have the contact details there. Oh, sorry, I have just seen another question from Zaid in the chat with regards to visa issuance. Is that something you're able to talk about at all, Tess?
So fortunately, that is going to be outside of my purview and expertise. However, I completely understand. This is a very common concern that we do have come up with our international community. We actually did recently host a separate webinar series just to address this specifically. So along with these files, I'm happy to share the link to that webinar that does highlight a lot of these FAQs. And if there is a specific question beyond this, or if you just want to email this to us, I'll be sure to get this question to the right people.
Excellent. Thank you, Tessia. I think it is just a general feeling, you know, of kind of uncertainty maybe. So I think that if there is a resource that we could refer to, that would be really helpful. Thank you. Okay. Thank you everyone so much. I think we'll wrap it up there, conscious of running over time a little bit. So thank you so much, Tess, for your very valuable presentation, and thank you everyone so much for your time. As I said, we will share the slides, we will upload the recording in the next few days, and I hope to hear and see you all soon at our next session.
you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.